Hello and welcome to I Know You're Listening. Today we are doing the Werewolf Appreciation Society. I'm Jonathan Julius Blaze III.
Oops! You caught me reading. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a werewolf expert nerd. I'm Benjamin Hooper, and I shall not be keeping up this voice for the duration of the recording.
Hello. I am Fallon Burton. I am a bit of a, I would say werewolf, but werewolf and vampire expert myself.
We are just talking about werewolves because werewolves are cool. I've always liked werewolves since I've been a wee lad. One of my favorite monsters of that sort of ilk of, I would say, universal monsters. That
You can't tell, but these
vampires.
finger guns are shooting silver bullets into the air.
Careful with those. Three of us are the final authority on werewolves. Anybody else you go to, they are plebs. Don't listen to them. Also, this is probably not going to be far off from the release of Marvel's Werewolf by Night.
This Halloween, you can't escape the shock, the terror of Werewolf by Night.
We each brought our three favorite werewolf movies, and then we'll probably have some backups in case there's doubles. My favorite, well, it's not my favorite werewolf movie, but a very early favorite werewolf is from Van Helsing.
My life, my job, my curse is to vanquish evil.
Starring Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
I liked that movie a lot as a kid. I rewatched it a couple years ago, and it was more, okay, I see why most people don't like this movie. Understandable, have a nice day. I like the werewolf in it. I think the werewolf looks pretty good for early CGI, and they were doing something different with it. Stephen Sommers, he was doing all those, he was doing The Mummy,
From the director of The Mummy and The Mummy Returns.
doing The Mummy 2. He did other things. There was another sort of big franchise he did besides this and besides Mummy and Van Helsing that I
Was it Van Helsing was also supposed to be a failed kickstart for the Universal cinematic universe, wasn't it? It was like the second or third failed kickoff.
That thing was very not bad. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like when I left the movies, that's exactly what I said when I saw it. And I can't believe, just to let you know, that's exactly what I remember saying. Like I came out and they were like, yeah, so I'm like, very not bad. Like, I mean, I see what they tried to do. I really appreciate that. But it was just, I don't know. It just felt like it was missing something.
The other franchise I was trying to remember was G.I. Joe. So not really a monster franchise, unless you consider the military-industrial complex a monster, and then...
I do.
Oh yeah, Kate Beckinsale's great. I love Kate Beckinsale. She's my mom.
I would even call this bottom 3 Kate Beckinsale werewolf movies.
Especially when you bring into account Underworld, because Underworld was actually it was a prize in and of itself.
We'll talk about Underworld. Ben, what's your... Or no. Ben, you've got a bit. We'll do you last. Fallon, what's your werewolf movie?
My favorite of all time. Oh man, I have 3 that I will watch whenever I get the chance, and that is American Werewolf in London, hands down, The Howling, and Silver Bullet.
I have certainly seen one of those.
Really, only one? Oh man, no, those are classics, man. Which ones are the ones you haven't seen?
I've not seen The Howling, although I am relatively familiar with it by reputation. Silver Bullet, I don't think I've heard of at all.
Okay. This makes me so happy. Isn't that obvious?
American Werewolf in London is an absolute classic. I didn't even... I assumed you were going to pick it. I didn't even put it on my list because it is a good one.
This is the story of 2 young American students traveling through England on the night of the full moon. Fate let one live.
A lunatic must have been a very fierce fellow.
Wasn't a lunatic.
What?
A wolf.
Oh, be serious, would you?
John Landis, brilliant young director of Animal House and the Blues Brothers, has turned a classic tale of terror into something new.
It's a classic. It's written and directed by John Landis, who was really big in the 80s. Animal House, Coming to America, and Twilight Zone, which was kind of But anyway, American Werewolf in London. I mean, you have the makeup that was and special effects that was done by Rick Baker. One of the first times that actually monster makeup and effects was nominated for an Academy Award. Did he win?
This was the first ever Academy Award for Best Makeup.
After Michael Jackson saw American Werewolf in London, he hired both Rick Baker and John Landis to direct and do the makeup for Thriller. Yeah.
Is a fun fact, Fallon.
Like, because normally normally the Academy does not, horror is never taken seriously.
3 times ever, and usually it's barely scary, like Sixth Sense.
But yeah, American Werewolf in London is one of the first times where you had like this mainstream horror comedy that was like a real big budget film.
Fallon, you do a really good impression of the little boy in the zoo.
Yes. And he takes his balloons and he walks up to the lady. She goes, "What is it, love?"
A naked American man stole my balloons.
What?
A comedy with your Grievous getting torn apart by a beast horror. I guess I'll bring it up now. One of my honorable mentions is American Werewolf in Paris.
That's fun. That was more so fun.
Yeah, it was doing a very different thing. It's more of a screwball comedy than a dry comedy. Not great early CGI for the werewolves.
For the werewolf CGI, I appreciate it. They gave her 6 nipples. I loved that.
Ben, what is your favoritist werewolf?
I also went with a classic from childhood, my childhood. Granted, this film is quite a bit older than I am, but I grew up with it as a TV classic. I went with 1976's The Shaggy DA.
It's Walt Disney Productions' shaggiest comedy ever, The Shaggy DA.
Elwood? I am not Elwood. I am actually Wilby Daniel.
Suzanne Plachette.
Grab that dog!
The crooks are out to get Wilby.
Follow that dog!
And Wilby's out to bury your funny bone. Walt Disney Productions' The Shaggy DA.
Say it again, Sam.
Woof. Wilby Daniels, a fellow who was actually cursed as a child. This is a sequel to the 1950s film The Shaggy, I want to say Wolf. Something like that. A magic ring gets stolen from the museum, and it's the same ring that turned him into a canid as a child. And now, as a successful lawyer, he is once again turning into some sort of canine sheep wolf while trying to run for district attorney. I think that he fights for justice in some ways because he's trying to take down corruption, but also it's a little spooky because he does it by becoming a cop.
So the audience might have gathered that our definition of werewolves is understandably has to be a little loose.
Dogs and wolves can have babies. They're the same animal.
Yep.
That's true.
No, I guess if you are turning into a dog man, you are also sort of a werewolf.
Are you not indeed?
And you are entitled to all of the benefits being a werewolf brings you, I guess, except I don't know, you're better with the children. Does he maul anybody in any of these movies? Even the criminals?
He knocks some people over.
With his insane werewolf strength?
There is a reboot version where he's played by Kirk Cameron that mauled my childhood. So if that counts, then the body count is 1.
Do you have anything else to say about the Shaggy DA?
Only that in a contest between Johnny's favorite werewolf movie, Wolf, and Fallon's favorite werewolf movie, Wolf, and my favorite werewolf movie, Wolf, mine would absolutely win in court.
Guilty, 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 guilty!
Okay, so my next movie is probably actually my favorite werewolf movie overall. I limited myself to one Underworld movie because I love the Underworld movies. But my favorite Underworld movie is actually the prequel, Underworld: Rise of the Lycans.
They are the immortal damned, one
born into privilege, the other bred for slavery.
Lucian, you are a credit to your race.
But all that is about to change.
We can be slaves, or we can be Lycans!
I think that movie not only is a great movie, a great werewolf movie, is one of the finest prequels I think has ever been made. It does being a prequel in a really cool way where it subverts expectations while preserving the canon. And honestly, one of Bill Nye's finest performances, and he's definitely the ham salesman in this. That he kind of started in the first Underworld, but now he can be full medieval Victor.
Mm-hmm.
But the werewolves in this movie, you get not Michael Shannon, Michael Douglas.
Gotta be another Michael.
Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
He's like, Michael Shannon, no.
Yeah,
no.
yuck it up. This is all going on the cutting room floor.
Famous for having played a wolf in Underworld and a vampire in Twilight.
Yes. Yeah, Michael Sheen.
He does it all.
Michael Sheen's great, and he gets to be like a total Hollywood leading man in this movie, and he clearly is enjoying it as being an uptight British guy. Yeah, like I said, Bill Ni-hee is absolutely chewing this movie to pieces as the villain Victor.
Rona Mitra
as Sonya, as not Kate Beckinsale. She's an awesome not Kate Beckinsale.
Rona Mitra? Oh, I love her.
Yeah,
Right, they didn't have to like cast somebody and be like, okay, we're gonna make you as Kate Beckinsale looking ass as we possibly can, but they sure did.
Celine reminded him of Sonya.
Yeah, well, that's how this movie ends. Is it's straight up making that comparison.
It began in May, and every month after that, whenever the moon was full, it happened again. They only knew it had to be stopped. From the master of mystery and suspense, Stephen King's Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet is based on a Stephen King short story, I believe. We got my guy Corey Haim. We got my guy Gary Busey. I mean, it's beautiful. Everett McGill is in it. You may know him from Twin Peaks and People Under the Stairs. Terry O'Quinn is in it. He plays the cop. It's basically like this small town gets terrorized one summer by a werewolf. And like, of course, nobody in the town, everybody thinks it's just like a human killer. Special effects are, the special effects are kind of hokey, but it's the 80s, you know?
They do a competent werewolf for their budget and era, I would say. This is a pre-American Werewolf in London world. Ben, what is your second werewolf movie?
Well, as we've established, you know that I enjoy when a film really plays with the werewolf mythos and shows us like an alternate origin as opposed to like full moons and bitings and Romani curses and stuff. So my next pick is a 1987 classic spooky film you might know as Spaceballs.
Hi.
Who are you?
Barf.
Not in here, mister. This is a Mercedes. What are you?
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
Wherein an actor you might be familiar with called John Franklin Candy portrays Barf, a horrific human canid hybrid who travels the universe. It's another way it's kind of plays with the mythos is in this world, werewolves drive camper vans in space. Something that I feel like the authors of yore never really considered.
I thought I was ready for any random crazy thing you were gonna say, and I was not.
Yeah,
no, I guess he is like an alien werewolf man, dog man, a man dog.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So he might not be an alien. He might be some sort of scientific experiment. He could be like a rocket raccoon. So my pick for my last one. You got your Teen Wolves. You got your Teen Wolf 2s. You got your Teen Wolf TV shows. Nah. I like Teen Wolf Canada, Big Wolf on Campus.
I used to own this town. Now it's all turned upside down. I wish I could figure out. Do you think it's just a phase I'm going through? Just a phase I'm going through.
It was very Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but maybe younger demographic, but has that vibe of high schoolers fighting, a supernatural monster of the week. But you have this jock who becomes a werewolf, and he's doing it instead of a cheerleader who's a slayer doing it.
Where can we find this?
It's all on YouTube. I just rewatched it recently to remind myself it exists, and I found one joke that I laughed at, so it's not complete dog shit, but there was one joke that had stuck with me over the years where...
I can hear you.
Listen carefully. I want you to return to Pleasantville and forget everything you've seen.
I understand.
But I will contact you. I will tell you 2 simple words. When you hear these 2 trigger words, I want you to carry out my orders. Do you understand?
I understand.
I will now tell you the 2 trigger words which have been passed down through the ages. Listen closely. They are...
Pizza's here. I understand. Trigger words are pizzas here.
Fine. The trigger words are pizza's here. I will contact you by cellular phone.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember that movie trailer from Grindhouse, Werewolf Women of the SS?
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember
that. Sybil Danning in it.
The Howling. Somewhere in this city, in this human jungle.
Show you something? Make you believe.
Speaking of which, Sybil Danning did, she was in the second Howling movie.
Howling 2. It's not over yet.
Was she in the third Howling movie with the marsupials?
Are they freaks of nature or creatures from hell?
They should be wiped out completely.
Will you help us
Evolutionary freaks.
to get our freedom, please?
According to these readings, he should be dead.
That one has little baby werewolves in werewolf marsupial pouches.
What, the Howling Down Under?
It was like the Howling 3 Attack of the Marsupials or something. The Howling's great. That whole series of movies I think they're all pretty watchable for being knockoff or for being like cash-in sequels.
Mm-hmm.
6, 7, 8.
Fantastic.
The last one came out in 2011, so
I'm gonna watch them in reverse order. Start with the worst and be like, oh, these are getting oddly watchable. It's like backwards Twilight.
It's pretty good werewolf fodder, you know what I'm saying, to scratch that itch. It's a classic, especially among like horror heads. So honestly, just to be up on your shit is good to watch, to know. So when it comes up in conversation, at least you know what I'm saying. And plus, I mean, it's good. Rick Baker started out is doing the special effects for that, and he actually left The Howling to work on American Werewolf in London.
I was gonna say, The Howling would be the best just like werewolf movie if American Werewolf in London didn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Ben. What's your last werewolf movie?
I am actually going to ruin the bit and choose a film with an actual werewolf in it for my last pick. 1987's Monster Squad.
We kind of have this monster club.
And there is no one to stop
Amazing film. Less of like a monster movie than it is oddly a Halloween-themed Goonies knockoff. But the thing that you have to remember, like I said, like my films all bring something new to the werewolf lore. What we learn about werewolves from Monster Squad is that Wolfman's got nards.
Come on!
It's funny because it's true.
Out of all the movies we've talked about today, that's the one I would want to just like go and watch right now.
It's honestly great. It's really funny and it's cute, and you got your Frankenstein, you got your Dracula, you got your Wolfman. Yeah, you have everything.
It did the horror kitchen sink before Cabin in the Woods did it.
It's Goonies if instead of weird inbred criminals, the bad guys were universal horror monsters.
We've had a lovely evening with the Werewolf Society tonight.
Classy evening.
Yes, very classy, with the most classy of movie monsters. We know you're listening. Make more good werewolf movies.
Hi, one of us is a werewolf consultant. You can never go wrong.
I would like to see like a were-shark movie. Yes, that might be interesting.
Your butt is ringing. Since when do you have a cell phone, Puff Daddy?
I don't know. What do I do?
Here's a thought. Answer it.
Pizza's here. Pizza's here.
I'm listening.